Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kyron Horman Case Revisited. My name is Samantha. This show tonight is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be about Kyron Horman. It's going to be about Michael Vaughan. The name of the live show tonight is The Disappearance and Murder of 5-year-old Michael Vaughan. We have a couple of guests today. Of course, we're going to have my partner in crime here.
Hello, everybody.
So, yeah, like I've been saying, this is a little bit different. But Kaine Horman runs the Kyron Horman Foundation, and he sponsored Michael Vaughan. So we thought it was a great idea to do this. In a few minutes, Brooks from Crime Lines and Lies will be joining us. I'm going to play a video. It is a long video, but I think it's just really important to show this video. It really goes through the entire case. And the interview is also done with Brandi Neal, which is Michael Vaughan's mom. And it's kind of an emotional video. And after watching it myself, I was like, this would just be an amazing opener to the entire show. In case people don't know about the Michael Vaughan case, this is going to be a great video so that everybody can get to know Michael Vaughan and the case. And thank you, Kaylee, for finding this amazing video.
Absolutely. Yes, thanks for showing it. It's a good one.
So I am going to mute me and play the video, and then we'll introduce Brooks.
For more than 550 days, a family has faced agonizing pain, searching for their little boy, searching for answers. Michael Vaughan went missing in the summer of 2021.
The case heated up late last year with police digging up a home close to the Vaughans and naming people they believe are involved in Michael's abduction. But we still don't know where the little boy is.
There's a hole.
July 27th, 2021.
But we keep moving on every day, and we don't give up.
The day the world stopped turning for one Idaho family.
I always write every day what day it is. And it says, be strong, be brave, be fearless. You are never alone.
The day a little sister couldn't play with her big brother.
She picks up his pictures. I leave this one here. She'll walk up and she'll start talking to him. And she'll get sad and she says, I miss Monkey. I miss him too.
A day forever imprinted on the memories of everyone who lives in the family's small, close-knit community of Fruitland, Idaho.
5-year-old Michael Vaughan went missing from this neighborhood behind me.
The search for Michael Vaughan continues.
We just want our monkey home.
Fruitland Police say then 5-year-old Michael Vaughan disappeared between 6:40 and 7 p.m. on July 27th, 2021. His family says he was last seen down the road from where they live on Southwest 9th Street in Fruitland, and he spoke to multiple neighbors.
Every minute counts in these investigations when searching for a missing child.
By fall, police said Michael was likely abducted.
I want to hear him say, I love you, Mom. It was the last thing I got to hear. That was the last thing he said to you.
I told him I'd be home to tuck him in.
Multiple agencies, from Fruitland Police and Idaho State Police to Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, scoured the area. searching for Michael on the ground, in the water, from the sky. People from all around the Treasure Valley also helped search for the little blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy, lovingly nicknamed Monkey.
Michael's still missing.
A major break in the case at a home just across the road, just half a mile away from this neighborhood where the Vaughan family lives. Police say they were looking for Michael's possible remains at a home on Redwing Street, so close. Brandi says she walked there and knocked on the door early on in her search for Michael.
No one answered when she knocked. Huff said a, quote, very credible tip from someone living in the home led them to believe Michael was buried there. Search and rescue crews used heavy machinery to dig up the backyard of this home on Redwing Street.
Honestly, I didn't really believe it at first. Like, it couldn't have been this close. I literally worn my feet to the bone.
We are all very emotionally tied to this case.
Brandi says police told them to hunker down and to stay away from the excavation.
I sat at the end of the road. I watched the trucks leaving with the dirt. But I promised my family, I promised law enforcement, I promised everybody that I wouldn't go over there. It was like day one again. In the first weeks, months, not being able to drive, not being able to think, not being able to do anything. Pour yourself into a shower.
The next day, after more than a year and a half, police arrested someone they believe was involved in Michael's abduction. Even without finding a body, they charged one of the people living in the home, 35-year-old Stacey Wondra, with failure to report a death. Police, for the first time, saying they believe Michael is dead.
Do you understand the allegation that's been made against you?
I understand what they've said is not correct.
But how could they arrest her without finding a body? Chief Huff could only tell me they had probable cause for prosecutors to charge her beyond just statements made.
You're confident that they have more?
They can't tell us, but I'm confident in them.
The judge sealed the probable cause affidavit and other records, not wanting to jeopardize the high-profile case. The Payette County prosecutor said Wondra was on pretrial release at the time, charged with unlawful possession of a gun by a felon. She lives with her partner Stacey, who's been in the Washington County Jail since May of 2022, accused of the same gun charge.
Never seen them, never met them. We left flyers in the door.
In December, Sarah was committed to the state psychiatric hospital after she was found mentally unfit to assist in her own defense.
It's disheartening. It's upsetting.
Proceedings are paused until her competency can be restored.
But I understand. I understand the process.
According to Chief Huff, she isn't cooperating.
I want answers. I need answers. But I'd like to sit and have a conversation with her face to face with me. But she can't yet. No, not yet. There will be a time.
Crews spent days digging up the Redwing Street property. They brought human remains detection dogs.
All of them alerting to the presence of human remains. Although the remains of Michael Vaughan were not recovered, we strongly believe, based on evidence, that Michael was abducted and is deceased, and that his remains were buried and later moved from the property.
In that same December news conference, Chief Huff announced they believe 2 more people have firsthand knowledge about Michael's disappearance. He said Brandon Shirtliff and Adrian Lucien lived at or visited the Wondras' home when Michael was abducted.
We also believe that there are others associated with the Wondras, Shirtliff, and Lucien who may have knowledge of Michael's abduction.
Police believe Lucien is bouncing between Ohio and California. Public records show he has a lengthy criminal record in multiple states. Shirtliff also has a long rap sheet. In fact, court records show he has a warrant out for his arrest in Canyon County for violating probation, which Chief Huff knows about. From CUNA, Shirtliff's mom told us he now lives in North Dakota. Via Facebook Messenger, she also told us in early December investigators and cadaver dogs were at her house for days. He is not running. He has nothing to hide, and we have all been cooperating, his mom wrote. A week after releasing their names, Fruitland Police said they made contact with Lucien and Shirtliff. However, they haven't charged the men or issued any arrest warrants. While Huff wouldn't comment on why, he says he's confident arrests will be made in this case.
It's not fair if you have information about Michael and you've watched us for this past 545 days and you haven't said a damn word. And we have to wait and wait and wait and still take care of our family and our lives. Somebody needs to say something, and they need to start talking.
As investigators press on, Chief Huff says they continue working closely with the Payette County prosecutor.
You can't take one of our most precious citizens from us and ever expect us to stop.
I hate these words. But we will bring him home one way or another. We'll never give up.
While they wait for answers,
these are every single card, kind note that has been sent to our family.
Support from their community and from all over the world.
New Zealand. Little kiwi for Michael when he comes home.
Helps their world slowly turn again.
Michael is still missing. We do not have answers to where he is. Please keep sharing his beautiful smile, his beautiful face. He's out there somewhere, and we need him home.
Well, in the midst of me having technical difficulties before the live, I forgot to say hi to everybody. We have with us Brandi Neal. Michael Vaughan's mom is here in the comment section. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you being here. And I just want to say that we're so sorry for everything that you and your family are going through. If you need anything, our community is here for you. If you ever need our panel to bring awareness for Michael, we are here. Kelia, I don't know if you can hear me, but your mic is muted, babe.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I was agreeing with you. Yes, Brandi. It's our honor to talk about Michael today. Of course, we truly wish the circumstances were so different, and sending you and your family lots of love.
So we have on panel today Brooks from Crime Lines and Lies, and she covers so many cases on her channel. We will make sure to put a link there to go over and watch her. You can watch her daily in the morning, Monday through Friday. Hello, Brooks.
Well, hello, sweetheart. How are you?
Good, good. I'm doing really good. I just had so many technical difficulties beforehand, and I got so stressed out, and I literally got everything added into the StreamYard in probably less than 5 minutes.
Those things happen. I mean, I get up, early in the morning, as you know, to get a show ready. And all my shows are live, like yours. And sometimes they go downhill because, my cat will unplug the Wi-Fi, or like one time, he farted in the microphone.
Oh, good Lord.
Goodness. Oh, I've heard a lot about your silly cat.
and Brandi will tell you, we actually sent, excuse me, I'm sneezing. I've got a little bit of a cold. Actually sent a miniature OJ to Buggy.
Oh, that's sweet.
Well, I've got everything listed on how I want to do this. I mean, everybody saw this video. It's absolutely heartbreaking. I actually teared up the entire time I watched it last night after Kaylee sent it to me. Very, very heartbreaking. And now I would just like to go over like the day Michael went missing, like, and what happened, as far as like, when did they notice when he was gone, and stuff like that. So I know that he came up missing between 6:40 and 7 o'clock p.m. I know that they sent out a bunch of alerts through via text message, emails, phone calls, and everything come about 8:20 until after 11 p.m. And if I get anything wrong, somebody please correct me, that they started searching for him and called 911 to report him missing about 7:20, and that they were actually searching for him come about 7:30. Does that sound about right, Brooks?
It sounds about right to me, but I mean, I was not there. I'm not, I'm not his parents.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit, Brooks, about, how he came up missing, what Dad was doing? Because I know you and I kind of talked about that yesterday.
He went upstairs from what I understand, he went upstairs to change Buggy's diaper and wake her up from a nap. And a lot of people will say that makes no sense. Who wakes a child up? Well, you do if you want sleep at night.
Yes.
Oh, I have a toddler, and I'm with you on that. I can't even let him take a 10-minute nap in the car. Otherwise, we're up till midnight. So, yeah. I read a little about that, and one of my questions that I ended up finding the answers for was, do they think he wandered outside? And, because from you kind of hear the story and it makes you wonder, was he inside the house and someone came in, or did he wander outside in that short window of time? And I read that he was a really friendly kid. Although it was abnormal for him, he did talk to his neighbors and stuff, and neighbors did see him outside in that short window of time. So I found the answer. It sounds like he went outside and that he was abducted from his neighborhood.
Yeah, Brandi Neal is saying down the hall we have a single story. So Dad wasn't upstairs. Dad was down the hall, it sounds like. And I heard the exact same thing, Kaylee. You'll have to forgive us, Brandi. We didn't know too much about this case. We just knew that you needed help to bring awareness for your son. And Brooks was the one who let us know that. And that's why we decided to do this case. I also read like he was knocking on doors or something like that. And the last time that he was seen was on 9th Street there in front of his house in Arizona.
Idaho.
No. I mean on Arizona Street.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, in Idaho though.
Now, we spoke about this yesterday. I said, you know, make sure you have everything correct before you cover it.
Oh yeah, we've got everything. We did research for hours and hours and hours upon hours. So, Brandi says, no worries, any way I can help. Yes, thank you. I just wanted to let everybody know that we crunched it and we verified as much information as we can, but that's why we wanted you here, was just to help verify some things in case we do get it wrong, and so that you can talk about some of the things that we don't know about.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
But
honestly, you know how I talk. I wasn't trying to be rude.
Oh, I know. So yeah, and then that area, I'm going to pull up this video again because I was looking at the area here in this video, and
for more than 500,
I just couldn't believe how close this house was, because let's see, in November of 2022, they get a tip that comes in from someone, and they report that, where is that? There it is. They report that that somebody may have buried him in the backyard of like 1102 Redwing Road, which is right around the corner from his house, like a half a mile and like 4 minutes away. And then I saw the map, which I don't know why. This one's better. I can't find it on there. This is the map that I created just to show everyone. I mean, it's literally around the corner, 4 or 5 blocks away. I mean, down here on 9th Street is where their house is. And then up where the red dot is the 1102 Redwing Road. And that's where they went and searched to find Michael's body in the backyard because of a tip. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's just heartbreaking because I saw the Fruitland population sign, and it was like something like 6,600 or 6,800 people. This is literally the definition of a small town, you know, where you think you can really just trust that your kid's safe in front of their yard. And it's just a harsh reminder that look how close they were. And I feel Brandi when she says on here, I wore my feet to the bone, and they believe he could have been right around the corner. I can only imagine the pain on top of everything else. Just that must be really hard. And also, I just want to point out, Brandi, you're such a strong woman. I noticed in that clip that you were sitting next to a Christmas tree, but that clip that we watched was uploaded later on in February, it looked like, and it just made me, again, send you lots of love, because I can imagine just how difficult it is with the passage of time. The great news is that it sounds like that you have a really great, strong investigative team that is going to see this through all the way. And like you said, we're going to find him one way or the other, and there's going to be justice. So I'm really glad that you have a strong investigative team that is supporting you through that, and doing things like excavating that backyard and things like that, because, if you didn't have such a strong investigative team, you know, it might be a lot, you know, we're sitting here 13 years later with Kyron Horman. So I'm just grateful that there is a lot of movement, it sounds like, on your case. And Brandi comments here, the tip came from an occupant who lived at that house. That
Yes, I
is
heard that in
crazy.
that news clip that you found that we just played, that it came from an occupant inside the house. And the two occupants that lived there were Sarah and her husband, Stacey Wondra. And she was actually arrested for
A gun charge. They had both had
well,
something
no,
with a gun charge.
she got arrested at first for not reporting the
Yes.
body being in the backyard.
She failed to report a death to police, and from my notes, she was arrested one day after the home was searched and excavated in November 2022.
Yeah, and I have something here that was written out. It was the Fruitland Police obtained a search warrant. According to court documents, police forced entry into the Wondra's home around 9:30 p.m., where they found Sarah Wondra in the living room. She was detained and read a copy of the search warrant. When I got to the portion that read murder, she said, "Did you just say murder?" multiple times. A Fruitland police officer wrote in an affidavit, she also said, "I have never murdered anyone." Officials said Sarah Wondra maintained that she definitely did not kill that boy and said, "The Most High God already told me who did it." She reportedly told police, "Oh, wow, the Most High God just told me that Stacey was the one who killed him and buried him in the yard of the neighbor's house," which the neighbor's house was also searched. When asked later to show police where the boy was buried, according to the affidavit, she told police of the spot near the entry of her residence and said Stacey had buried him in the backyard by the shed. Police said by that point, they had begun hand digging a portion of the Wondra's yard based on information received by Stacey, who has not been arrested or charged by Monday afternoon. It wasn't clear when or why police had spoken with Stacey Wondra. Sarah Wondra was arrested and told police, "God just told me that Stacey was the one who did it," adding that she knew the body was in neighbor's yard because that's what Stacey just told me. She then corrected herself and said that's what God told her, according to this affidavit. So,
wow.
I mean, after looking at her TikTok videos, I went through a bunch of them last night, and it sounds like she's got some serious mental issues. She believes like the end of the world is coming. We just heard inside the video that we played at the beginning of the live that I guess she went into some kind of a mental facility. Is that correct? Is she still there? Like sitting in that mental facility?
From what I read, they did find her mentally sound enough to face trial. So she's no longer under mental watch like that. They found that she was suitable to stand trial. You know, things change all the time, but I did read that, and I watched, Crime Lines and Lives. She does a lot of live sessions about Michael Vaughan. And on her most recent one, she's kind of talking about this and really showing examples of Sarah Wondra's religious ranting and how it really, really came to an extreme. Like, I believe she said August of 2021. So 1 month after Michael went missing. So that's when she really, really, really started talking about these religious rants on her online presence. So it is interesting, and she did Crime Lines and Lies. She did a great live just like maybe a week ago on Michael Vaughan, where she goes over all this. It's very interesting, And, you know, she makes some good points that maybe either she's feeling guilty and has this come to Jesus moment after that, or it's a coping mechanism and she's trying to like rationalize whatever happened in her brain. So she's going hard on the religion. Or thirdly, you know, what she's saying in these videos, she's lying about it. The one example that comes to mind is getting stuck in the mud, which we can talk about that a little later. But yeah, that is an interesting observation that people made, that she wasn't religious up until a month after Michael disappeared.
Yeah, when I saw her TikToks, I mean, the majority of them started, it looked to be like around October of 2021, just a couple months or so after Michael came up missing.
Looks like we lost Brooks. Is she in the background at all? I had written down some questions.
I don't see her here.
Brooks,
I just sent her a message and let her know that she's not here.
Yes.
Yeah, because we got questions. But
yep.
Yeah, and then Stacey Wondra, like, I heard he changed his profile picture on his Facebook to Michael Vaughan's missing picture too. And just I want to go back just a little bit though, because we forgot to talk about something with Sarah. Sarah ended up being arrested later. And it was April of 2022. Sarah faced a federal gun charge that was eventually dropped, but was charged and sent to prison on October 6th of 2023 and will serve between 3 and 7 years in prison on on 2 state charges unrelated to Michael. She pled guilty to aggravated assault and destruction, alteration, or concealment of evidence. I could not find out what that was pertaining to in any way, shape, or form. Were you able to find any of that information out, Kalia?
I didn't, but I do know that the charges that they brought that were related to Michael Vaughan, the failing to report a death, they did drop those charges at the request of the prosecutor. So it was something they requested to have dropped. And it might have been maybe they saw this coming and they thought that was good enough to keep her locked up while they finished the investigation. I don't know. I'm not an investigator, but I think they are separate. They're totally unrelated to Michael Vaughan at the charges she has now.
I read when they dismissed that, it says the mother of the missing Fruitland boy, Michael Vaughan, told KTVB she is disheartened and upset after charges against the only person who has been charged in her son's disappearance so far dismissed, or so far were dismissed. However, Vaughan's mother, Brandi Neal, said she is confident in the law enforcement investigating the case. I know police are steadfast in their ongoing investigation and bringing justice for Michael, Neal said. She said she can't comment on why the prosecutor's office asked for the case to be dismissed, but she does go on to say one thing: to anyone with any involvement in Vaughan's disappearance, charges are forthcoming. She asked for the public to keep Vaughan's beautiful face out there because we still need answers and tips and information from people who aren't talking. Wondra was charged with the failure to report a death involving Vaughan, and Petite County prosecuting attorney Michael Duke filed a motion to drop the charge against Wondra, stating that based on the evidence, the Idaho Supreme Court 2018 ruling in State versus Adkins may be a defense in the case. The motion was for dismissal without prejudice, meaning that if the motion is granted, the prosecutor may still refile charges against Wondra in connection to the Vaughan's case. So that's great that it's without prejudice and that they can go back after her. I'm just still wondering if it's still paused because of her mental health. The text of the motion to dismiss does not go into specifics about the evidence or other circumstances in the Wondra case. In the 2018 Atkins case referenced in the motion, the Idaho Supreme Court upheld the dismissal of a charge of failure to report a death on a constitutional issue, specifically the Fifth Amendment. The court determined that the defendant would have incriminated herself by effectively admitting to her commission of the state's charge of destroying evidence if she had complied with the law about reporting a death to law enforcement and the county coroner. So admitting doing so, she would have immediately given up her rights and could have been charged by just reporting the death or the burial of Michael.
I mean, I can only give my opinion on that, but that is so crazy that, you know, if you know of a child dying on your property and you don't say something, it's looked at as you can incriminate yourself. Like, that is so backwards to me. But again, I'm not in that those like justice realms, so there's probably reasons for it, but you know, like, when does not reporting a death, you know, I guess, why does that a right? That's kind of interesting. But I'm glad it was dropped, like you said, without prejudice. And this case was presented to the DA, and they did say that they were going to the grand jury to seek charges, I believe in September of this last year. So it's only been a few months since then. So I know the justice system works slow, but they're on their way. So that gives me hope for Michael's family.
And then back over to Stacey. Like I was saying, I guess he like changed his profile picture. There was a TikTok that Sarah did that had Michael Vaughan's information on the refrigerator behind her when she did the TikTok. So it was like, here they are trying to tell everybody, hey, this kid's like missing and everything else. But yet police and law enforcement seem to think that he was buried in the backyard, but then later moved. And Stacey ends up going to jail too on an unrelated gun charge. And then from what I read, he was released from federal custody recently, as recent as like November. And he was granted time served along with good time, which is a federal thing, on his federal case. And he is currently in Boise, Ada County, believed to be at a halfway house. He is likely being monitored for the sake of the Vaughan and the Neal family. And then this person goes on to say that they imagine that law enforcement is going to keep close tabs on him with the continuing efforts in the investigation.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he was released already. You know, the police seem to believe that he was buried on their property at one point and then moved. You know, there is scientific ways for them to figure that out. And I know that on the Kristen Smart case, it's the same thing that happened there. They were able to prove the same thing, that she was at one time buried in the backyard of Paul Flores and his family. And they were able to sift through the dirt to find that out by whatever scientific findings they're looking for in the actual dirt. And they convicted them on that. So it's not unheard of. You know, investigators know that they have tools at their disposal, and it sounds to me like the police are still looking for Michael, but they do believe that he was there at one time. And whoever gave him that tip, who lived there, were they like a witness? Are they a suspect that was like during interrogation. Like, I wonder how or who would have given them that tip.
Right, because there is the two that live in the house, Sarah and Stacey Wondra, and then they were looking for a short period of time for Lucine, Adrian, and Shirtliff Brandon Shirtliff, and it took, they put their faces out there and everything else, and then eventually law enforcement talked to them, but I don't think any charges has been brought against them, no arrests have been made. And as far as Brooks had told me yesterday, they are saying there could be, other suspects. And Adrian and Brandon they wanted to talk to them because law enforcement thought that they had some kind of knowledge about Michael being buried in the backyard, or just, any kind of firsthand knowledge about what had happened to him and where he was.
Mm-hmm. And after looking into these two individuals, Brandon Shirtliff and Adrian Lucien, we found a social media interview. It sounds like Brandon Shirtliff has done several social media interviews with people. And he describes that, they were all together that day. So, I mean, I don't know if police had talked to them up until that point, but somehow they already knew before, they put their faces out there and said, we believe they're here and here. So it makes me think they didn't talk to Brandon or Adrian until after that press conference. But somehow they connected all these individuals together. And Brandon goes and later and confirms that, we all were there that day. They were together. So
I actually have that video. Let me put it up for you.
So earlier that day, I spent the night there because we came in towing my car from my mom's to their house. So we woke up and had breakfast and watched TV and coffee. And then we went, me and Sarah and one of our other friends that was there visiting for like a week or so, because he came in from the airport. He was Adrian, and he had like kind of an afro, and we went and did kind of a YouTube video that day where we were trying to make music and kind of like a car crash scene, and we were hanging out with him doing that earlier. And then after that, me, Adrian, and Sarah went to Applebee's, where we dropped him off there after me and Sarah got a chicken sandwich and a soda pop over there at the Popeyes. Sarah took me to lunch over at Popeyes, and she was going to buy a sandwich for me, Adrian, and her, but he said, my family's here, I want to see him, so I'm going to go to Applebee's and go over here and have dinner with them, or lunch with them real quick, and then give me a little bit of time to do that, and then you guys come back and get me. We did that, and in the meantime, me and Sarah were bored just kind of driving around the mall, and we didn't know what to do, so I drove back over to my house to get a water bottle and fill it up with water to bring back over to their house because I didn't like their water. And then during that time, after that, we came back to the mall, and we picked up Adrian, me and Sarah, and then all three of us, Sarah, Adrian, and I, we hopped in the car and we went back to the Fruitland house. I think it was around like 6 or 7 at night. We were in that little 2016 Toyota Corolla. It's a blue one. So I asked them earlier that day if we could use their pickup to go to my house, my mom's house, and get my Mercedes-Benz and tow it back over there so I could work on it if I was going to be hanging out over there doing the taxi business. Yeah, I remember going to the gas station. We were probably at the gas station filling up like right at 7. We came back over there, and then right as soon as we were getting the car back to the neighborhood, the whole neighborhood was on high alert looking for the little boy, Michael Vaughan, and they said he went missing right that day earlier, right before we came in with the car we were towing. And then right as soon as that happened, I went out and tried to look for the kid with Sarah. We got in her little Toyota car and drove to the gas station and drove around after we got out of the pickup, and then tried to look in the field to see if he went down by the river or if he could be out just wandering lost. And, that's what hit my mind first. And then from there, it was me and Sarah. We went to the gas station, got some milk, and then did this and that and came back. And then right when we got back, Carson had his pickup next door with a light bar on it. So I said, hey, you need to start this up and kind of go look in the neighborhood and the farmer field and the river. We got to go find this missing person report that just came out, you know?
It's just so strange. And I mean, I've never even really looked too far into what this person is saying, but it just gives me such bad vibes. The insane rambling, the super specific details, contradicting it's himself. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'm confused or what, but he says first he goes to Applebee's and then he gets a sandwich at Popeyes and he's still with Adrian, and then they go to the mall and they drive around the mall and just all this. And then of course, so conveniently, they show up in the neighborhood at the same time everybody's looking for this boy that just went missing 30 minutes ago. You know, it just makes me get that feeling deep down. It's just like, ugh.
And the way they talk about how Adrian is like, goes back and forth between like Ohio and California, he almost sounds like he's like some kind of drifter or something.
Yeah, right. I know he's staying here from the airport. He was staying here for a week. They didn't know where his physical permanent address was because the police couldn't easily track him down. And then from what I've learned from Crime Lines and Lies on her lives about Michael Vaughan, that Adrian also goes on some tangents online, and none of them have been fully cooperative. And it's funny that in this clip you just showed, he says, oh my gosh, we need to help these people that just lost their kid, like right away. And I know that is some people's first initial response, right? But the eagerness, I don't know, it seemed fake in this video, because if I were putting myself in that situation, I'm coming up on people searching for a little kid. I'm gonna help them, but also, like, I don't know, I'm not gonna go knock on my neighbor's door and say, you need to get your truck out here, when all these people are somehow surrounded this mysterious disappearance. It's just as too much of a red flag coincidence for me.
Yeah, they, from what Brooks was saying, like, it was kind of like a flop house there off of Redwing.
That's what it seems. Yeah.
And I got a message from Brooks. She said she was trying to come back on. I'm still not seeing her anywhere in the studio. I just resent her another link to maybe be able to click on that and come back. I mean, we had plans to like ask her a bunch of questions, but Brandi, if you're here, we have some questions. If you wouldn't mind responding. And I also just text Brooks again, to see if she could at least make it over to the comment section. I mean, I don't think this has anything to do with the technical difficulties I was having earlier, but I want to say hi to everybody that's here. We do have Brandi Neal's mom here.
Michael Vaughan.
Brandi Neal mom.
Yeah.
Yes. Brandi Neal, Michael's mom, is here, or she was earlier. Yeah, we've got Jujubee here sending prayers. We've got Zane Lilly here. Hello, it's nice to see you. We have Chrissy here. She says, here, I thank you for covering Michael's case. And we're glad to be covering it. Crime Lines and Lies reached out to us, let us know that Michael Vaughan's parents needed some help getting some awareness out there. So I got a hold of her and told her, we're on board. Let's do this. There's Tabitha, my daughter. Hello, I'm so glad to make it. Hello, doll. Unsurprised Maniacs is listening in. Can't chat. Robin is here. We are still praying. Criminal Med prayers. Thanks everybody for the prayers. You know, this family's been going through a lot the last couple of years. And I'm sure after the dig on that property and what law enforcement is saying, it's just, you know, a very sad scenario that these parents are looking at.
I'll just take a moment here while we're kind of in a waiting period to see if we can get Brooks back on or not. Kyron Horman's dad, Kaine Horman, he runs the Kyron Horman Foundation, which is a nonprofit that helps with, you know, raise awareness for missing kids and give supplies and let parents know how to prevent this from happening to them. Well, Kaine and the Kyron Horman Foundation actually sponsors Michael Vaughan in a sense that they help raise awareness, they fundraise for Michael Vaughan's investigation. Kaine has been a great help to Brandi and her family from what I've read and heard through Crime Lines and Lies. And here on the Kyron Horman Foundation page, it does say a little bit about Michael. Since, you know, we can just take a moment to talk a little bit about that. Some of the things that he liked to do was digging in the dirt, rock hounding, mining for gold, playing Minecraft with his family. He likes to build things. He's interested in astronomy. Sorry. He likes to look at the stars and the moon. His favorite toys were monster trucks, Hot Wheels, Power Wheels. He liked excavator and construction vehicle type toys, and he liked Legos. His favorite movies were The Mandalorian, Spider-Man, and Batman. So it sounds like he loved his superheroes. He liked the books Harold and the Purple Crayon. My kids love that one. Legos books and the book I Love You More. That's so sweet. His favorite places to go was going to the park, sliding and swinging as high as he can. He loved to go to the Oregon coast to visit, and seeing the beach for the first time was a special memory. He enjoyed camping all over. His favorite food was pizza, macaroni and cheese. He loved zebra cakes and he loved chocolate chip cookies. He enjoyed Seahawks. He was a Seahawks fan. And some of the memorable moments that are listed is camping in the Whitman Forest, finding crystals and rocks, going to the Burnt River, learning to prospect for gold prospecting, going on the four-wheeler with his grandpa. He liked going to Roaring Springs, playing mini golf and enjoying the water park, laser tag, and video games. And he enjoyed bowling with his family. He was always ready to go places, play outside, plant things outside. He was a very loved little boy, and this is a tragic loss for his family and his community. And I think it's very amazing that Kaine Horman has extended out personally help to this family through such a devastating time that I'm sure is so hard to navigate. And, you know, Kaine Horman's kind of gone through this before, so he has sponsored Michael Vaughan, and I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you can see in this picture, they made bracelets for him. They did the pins for him, like the one that Desiree wears all of the time. They took pictures of children and made ID kits for kids, you know, the fingerprinting and pictures and all of that. I mean, the foundation is awesome. And here's, you know, stickers. I think they're bumper stickers. But they talked a lot in the Kyron Horman case about how Kaine's so quiet. I think Kaine sometimes is just busy, you know, running this foundation or doing other things. I mean, he went all the way to Idaho. I don't know where else he has traveled, but we do know that he sponsors several children. And I just wanted to bring that up because, you know, he is a busy man. Here they are taking pictures of children.
Right.
Yep.
You know, that's one thing. He goes to these family-friendly events, and it's all for protecting kids and helping families. You know, that is so commendable. So I agree with you. Yeah, he might be quiet, quote unquote quiet, but he is busy, and I believe that he has full faith in the investigation. He's never swayed from that. I've never seen him sway that he doesn't have the full faith of the investigation for his own missing son. He said it himself. This is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yep. And here Kyron is. He is the third one in from
Kaine,
the
sorry.
left. Kaine. And he's with Brandi and Tyler in this picture. That is Michael Vaughan's parents. I'm not sure who's there on the end, but yeah. He went to Idaho, and this was the Tree Fort Festival that they did for him. That's a very beautiful picture of her. And then this just says the history. Make it two, please. The history of the Kyron Horman Foundation. The mission of the Kyron Horman Foundation is to help families of missing children in their ultimate goal to bring their children home, inspired by a 7-year-old boy who went missing in 2010, which they're talking about Kyron. The foundation offers a variety of services, including but not limited to the following: how quickly they assemble and launch effective public awareness campaigns, how to partner effectively with law enforcement and the media, and general counsel for the families. And then if you are in trouble and you do need to contact them, all you have to do is get a hold of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That's the only thing I could find besides an address to get a hold of them. And it also says that the Kyron Horman Foundation was founded in September 2010 and is a nonprofit organization supported entirely by volunteers, sponsors, and donations. For every dollar donated to a child, 100% of those funds go to supporting awareness campaigns for the child and no place else. The Kyron Horman Foundation fills a gap that it exits in the realm of missing children and is a unique offering that provides family of missing children with the tools, resources, and counsel that are solely needed during a time of anxiety, confusion, and uncertainty. So, and it says every year more than 3,000 children are reported missing under suspicious circumstances. Please help us in the mission to bring these children home. And yeah, I just think that it's just really important, when families do or go through this, it is important to reach out to foundations like this. They're saying that they give counsel. Parents need that. I know that Brandi Neal had said that she talks with a woman who lost their child, I believe, or maybe it was just a missing person, but she talks to a lady when she needs to talk to somebody. So I think it's really important for any parent with a missing child to get a hold of other people that have had missing childs to help these parents understand, what they're going to go through, what feelings they might have, what type of emotions they're going to be dealing with, how to deal with them, and so on. Because, especially in this case, when you're told, we don't think Michael is alive, how do you deal with that? And then how do you deal with knowing that they may have, not only did they bury him in a backyard, but how do you deal with the fact that they took him out and put him somewhere else? And in this area where he lived, you have the Snake River going along the side of Fruitland, and all around this neighborhood are gigantic, huge farmlands and fields and grass, and just, it was a lot, almost like the Kyron Horman case. Kyron Horman comes up, missing in the middle of farm country, pretty much. And all of those rivers over there off of Sauvie Island was searched.
Mm-hmm.
And they went through and did a lot for Michael Vaughan, like they did Kyron. Like they went really far. The FBI was involved. There were several different law enforcement communities involved from Idaho State. They used helicopters, search dogs. Search dogs, you know, are the ones who, you know, scented on a death on that somebody was buried in that backyard.
Multiple dogs kept alerting to a cadaver. So it was the a dead body scent, and multiple dogs caught that scent. And when they excavated the backyard, we're talking every inch of that backyard was dug up like 3 or 4 feet down. If you see a picture of it, it's like it would be like the house was just built and they haven't done anything around the land of it yet. It's just nothing but bare dirt 3 or 4 feet down. It's crazy.
Yeah, and they sifted through the dirt. They took the dirt out. From what I understand, they went 4 feet. This is a picture right here. Oh, why did it do that? That's a picture right there of them digging. And they were taking the dirt, putting it into a dumpster. The dump truck, and then they're driving this dump truck to a certain location where they're sifting and looking through the dirt, and amenities were found. I mean, yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, and she talks about being at home in that video and how she promised her family and law enforcement that she would not go over there while they were doing that. And I just can't even imagine. It's just so heart-wrenching to know that she's so close and this is what they're doing. And here is how close. That's Michael Vaughan's neighborhood there on 9th and Arizona Street. And that's where the suspect's house is there on the left. I mean, they said it was a half a mile, 4 minutes away. And he's abducted somewhere along that area and taken and then buried in this backyard.
You know, on Brooks's most recent live that she did, I believe it's her most recent one, she did on Michael Vaughan about a week or so ago. Like I said, she talks a lot about the social media of Stacey Wondra, which is one of the suspects of the investigation here. And the police have said that we believe he was buried there at one time and maybe moved. And one of the speculations is that at one point, Sarah took or I don't know if it was Sarah and Stacey, but I know for sure at least Sarah took a trip from Idaho to Texas to allegedly adopt a dog.
And I think Stacey was with her in these TikTok videos that I watched because she was the one that drove down there and back. And she said something like, even though Stacey was with me, I did all the driving.
Right. Yeah. And then she talks about this one weird TikTok she puts on her thing where she's like almost like she's sobbing about something that happened in Texas where she got stuck in the mud. And she doesn't elaborate, but she basically says, like, I'm lucky to be alive and God has my back. And it just is so peculiar because some of the speculation is that they already had the dog. Like, they say it was to adopt a dog, but the dog that was in the photo, some people have said they already had that dog, so that it was just a convenient excuse to go to Texas. But I don't know one way or the other. But again, I'm over here saying that is a sad, plausible potential possibility, you know.
Yeah, because there has been speculation that they took his body out and took him to Texas or New Mexico or something like that down there. She traveled through New Mexico and Texas, and it was speculated that they could have done that. And they went on that trip in October of 2021, and he came up missing at the end of July. So that's just a couple months afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, the questions that I had for Brooks, one of them was, how long did they think that Michael was alive for? I would like to know the answer, to that question. Or
like I know that the neighbor of these people, I have not verified this myself. I hate even saying that again. I do most of my research on Kyron Horman, so I branched off and did some on Michael Vaughan, and I wish I was more versed in Michael Vaughan's full case like I am Kyron's. But I would love to know what their theories on these people's motives might have been. The speculation is the next door neighbor, who also had ground penetrating radars done in their backyard. They might
and
be
they
a sex
dug
offender.
in that backyard too.
Yeah.
And they were registered sex offenders.
So yes, I don't know. I've never heard of what an actual motive would have been, other than just speculating. But that was one of my questions. I don't know. And, what would motivate anybody to do something like this to a small child? It's hard for people like us to understand, because we would never do such a thing. And it's like, how do I wrap my head around whatever motive they had? It's just crazy.
Right. And we have here, Chrissy, if that's really Brandon, do you have anything you want to say to relieve this family of their pain? Yeah, Brandon, if you'd like to talk on social media, why don't you let the family know what happened? Tabitha, my heart breaks for the whole family. I could never imagine. You are all very strong. Prayers for answers, and soon. Yes. Hopefully they find out answers very soon. I heard that the grand jury came together in August. Yeah, there's just so much in this case. Brooks was telling me a lot of it. I wish that she was able to make it back, because now we can ask our questions. But, I did a lot of research. And I can tell you now, besides some of the information that I have, there really wasn't a lot of other information out there about these two individuals, the Wondras, or information really out there about Adrian and Brandon either, except for their long criminal histories and that they potentially had knowledge of something that went on in the house. We've got criminal med. Was the shed pulled up? I think that if Sarah Wondra said something about Stacey burying him next to the shed, they probably did take that shed up, but I'm not 100% on that. Texas has so many wide open areas. Yes, they do. And if you can see this picture here in the neighborhood, this is showing a great big field right next to the Vaughn's home where they lived. And this is what I'm talking about. In the surrounding neighborhood, right outside of all of this, is a bunch of fields and stuff just like this one. I want to see if there's anything else. This is more pictures of the equipment that they used. They taped off the ground while they were searching. I'm
going back to see if I can find if they did do the shed or not. I'm sure of it, because she did mention the shed specifically, but
oh, excuse me. And again, sorry you guys that Brooks isn't here. I think Brandi isn't here anymore, or she got busy.
Yeah, they were here a little earlier. But yeah, we had a kind of a Q&A type video planned today. So it's a little shorter than we might have anticipated originally, but it's important to talk about, especially with the DA recently putting this case, or the police putting this towards the DA, and the DA seeking charges. They made it clear that, yep, we're going to go for charges.
And then we have criminal med. That trip to Texas is so very odd. Have always wondered on that. no reason for it. Yeah, I totally agree. And like, I'm going through Sarah's TikToks, and like she was saying, Kaylia was just saying about how she was crying and distraught about their vehicle being in the mud and stuff. I mean, I found videos where she talked that she wasn't worthy of God's love and she didn't deserve it. And like we were saying earlier, on social media, at least on TikTok, I didn't look on other social media, but on TikTok, it looked like a lot of her TikToks, and posting every day and sometimes several times a day. Excuse me for just 1 second, babe. Oh, he can't hear me because he's got headphones on. I got flashlights out in my front yard, and I'm like, what's going on in the front yard? Hold on 1 second. Kaylee, if you could take over for a second, I need to go check out my front yard.
You got it.
That's crazy.
While we wait for her to come back, I was going to take a second to read the message that was shown on the screen in the video we played at the beginning. It's a message from one of the suspects' mother. His name is Brandon Shirtlift. He's the one that was talking on those on that video she played. His mom was reached out to on Messenger on Facebook, and she replied, I don't see the message that was sent to her, but she replied saying, he's not running, he has nothing to hide, and we have all been cooperating. But this has outright turned into total harassment of Brandon and our family. It used to be innocent until proven guilty. Now it's guilty without proof. They're even pointing fingers at me and telling me I'm lying and hiding something. I opened up my home to them for days on end. I gave them food and water, prayed with them, and allowed them to run their dogs and people through my house.
And who are you talking about?
I'm reading the message from Brandon's mom that somebody reached out. I just wanted to touch base on this because it reminds me a lot of somebody in Kyron Horman's case. So she goes on to say, I opened up my house to them for days on end. I gave them food and water, prayed with them, and allowed them to run their dogs and people through my house and my yard. They did find my toilet was leaking, which I'm grateful for. Their cadaver did smell the poop outside near the vent where my crawl space is near the leaking toilet, and then they went to my crawl space to look and found my leaking toilet. They came back with 17 cars, dogs, and shovels and dug where the dog alluded to that following day. They found nothing but my leaking toilet. We've cooperated fully since. So I just wanted to read that because it didn't talk about that in the video. It briefly touches on the fact that Brandon's mom messaged somebody, but if you read it, it says that the cadaver dog alerted to something. She's over here making light of the situation, saying it's the shit and from her leaking toilet, when really they came back with 17 cars, dogs, and shovels and dug where the dog alerted. So obviously, cadaver dogs, they're not alerting to poop smell, Right. To me, it makes it seem like she's trying to make light of, again, a missing child's case. It just doesn't make any sense to me, especially if the police are saying, we have reason to believe your son was there that day. Why are you going to go make light of the situation by trying to discredit the police and saying that, oh yeah, they smelled my leaking toilet, but they came with 17 cars, dogs, and shovels. Like, they obviously took that pretty seriously.
Criminal Med says, it seems she is very triggered girl. Even if tripped for another reason, she seems very unstable in my opinion. And I think that they're responding to my daughter saying that my son-in-law says, why would they travel that long with a baby or with a body, excuse me? It's too risky, and you'd think they would see a million other spots to dump him. Talking about, taking him all the way down to Texas. Well, it was just a speculation that some people had talked about that, they drove all the way down there or whatever. And it was like 1,600 miles from where they lived.
For a dog, that is, some people say they didn't even adopt a dog at that trip. So it was like, what the heck was that trip for? I know what you mean, though. I mean, I also agree. If I am somebody who, as much as I hate it, and I'll never understand these people that do heinous acts like this, I still try to put myself in their shoes. And you know what? If they did do something like that to Michael, where they buried him and then dug him up, I hope that it haunts them so bad that, you know, it would cause this mental instability she went through, you know, like it just, I hate to say that out loud, but you know, that is absolutely, that's like already the act of taking a life is heinous, but then the act of going back and digging up a body to move it, that is so hard to wrap my head around. But it happens. It happened in Kristen Smart's case. So it does happen.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to wrap my head around everything too, and then when I, you know, found out that she, Sarah Wondra, ends up, you know, in court, and they're saying something about her needing mental help, and I'm hoping through getting this mental help, because it is obvious on her social media that something's just not right. She's mentally unstable, 100%. That maybe once she gets the help that she needs and remembers what happens, that she will tell the truth. Because I know a news broadcast that I watched last night was saying that she's not cooperating. You know,
right, exactly.
And then like I read earlier, she's saying things like, let me get this piece of paper again, saying things like, God just told me that Stacey was the one who killed him and buried him in the yard of the neighbor's house. And then she says again down here, God just told me that Stacey was the one who did it, adding that she knows the body was in the neighbor's yard because that's what Stacey just told me. She then corrected herself and said that's what God just told her according to this affidavit. So first she says Stacey says, then she says God, and then prior to that she's already saying God told me that Stacey did it. I mean she's throwing her husband under the bus if he did do it.
Yeah, she is. I know exactly. I mean,
it sounds like she might have been completely terrified. And yeah, it was someone from within the house, and they, you know, the neighbors next door have criminal backgrounds and take the words out of my mouth, Kaylia.
They have sex assault crimes on their history too. They're predators.
Yeah, and they're digging up their backyard. They're digging up the Wondra's backyard. You know, and they're saying that these 4 people are 4 people right now, and that there could be more. And according to Brooks, she was saying that it was like a flop house and that there was lots of people coming and going and in and out. I didn't read anything though that said anything about like drugs or like a party house or anything, but I'm not 100% on that. I just couldn't find any information on that. Matter of fact, it was really hard to find a lot of information about this case unless you wanted to watch a lot of news clips.
You know, I agree with you. One thing about this case that I'm so glad we're taking the time to go over this again. I'm honored to be able to talk about this case on our platform. When I just typed in Michael Vaughan, nothing came up. And I was shocked. I had to type in Michael Monkey Vaughan before anything relevant came up. And I was like, that is horrible, Google. Give me the stuff. This child is missing. He needs justice. And it doesn't get as much coverage as it deserves. So, and you know, our followers, our people here in the chat, if you could talk about him, share his flyer. I posted his flyer in our Kyron Horman group earlier. Share this video, follow Crime Lines and Lies. I'm going to drop her YouTube again in the comments real quick. She does a lot of lives for Michael Vaughan, going over the details and the updates as they kind of trickle down.
We got Criminal Med says that they seem unfocused and rather scattered. So hard to know what their focus was. However, something happened in that house, in my opinion. Yeah, something did happen because And I wish I would have kept the clip. We just found this other clip, but in another news clip that I found, the lead investigator talked about that they did find evidence in the house that they were able to prove that Michael Vaughan was there and in the house, besides just, you know, his body
And
being buried in the backyard and then later being dug back up.
I could be wrong, but I believe I read too that they even found DNA, his DNA in the backyard, but they did not find DNA in the neighbor backyard. So, yeah.
Yeah, and there was some kind of DNA found next to the Wondra's bed that I also heard about. Tabitha said, I would lose my shit and I'd go crazy. Do we know if the shed was new or old? Don't know anything about the shed in the backyard. All we know is that Sarah Wondra said something about her husband burying him next to the shed.
I'll check real quick to see. I can hop on Google Earth and see if we can see the backyard in past years. Let me look into that real quick. It was a rental home. They didn't own the home.
Mm-hmm.
So
hello, Connie. We got Connie S here. Hello, everyone. Criminal Med, was there a scooter or bike involved? Remember, rumor, read that.
I heard that he was playing on his Nintendo, and then he went out front when his father went down the hall to change the baby and wake her up from the nap. He snuck out the front door, but he was playing video games on the couch on his Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, and then Dad was like, after changing the diaper, Dad got on the phone and ordered some pizza from Domino's Pizza, which Brandon actually worked for Domino's and had been to their house and delivered pizza, according to Brooks. I'm wondering if that's how they met. Tim is here. That's Susie, our admin's husband. So that's either Susie or Tim sitting there. Hi, you guys. I'm glad you're here and was able to make it. We lost Brooks tonight. She was supposed to be on the live and some kind of disconnection or something happened. And yeah, she's not here for us to do our Q&A, but me and Kaylee are kind of just talking about the things that we do know. She's doing a little bit of research on her computer while we're doing our live, just trying to go over everything that we know in the case, because we've just been discussing the fact that it's just so hard to find out anything in this case. It's so hard to find out anything about these suspects. Hours and hours and hours for 2 full days of research, and there wasn't much to find. All you can find is the arrests that were made and the arrests that were dropped, and that's pretty much it. And a lot of news conferences.
So from what I can tell about the shed, I do believe it was there. It was put there sometime after 2017, but before he disappeared. And if you go on Google Earth right now and you type in their address, there's houses. This photo was taken in April 2023, and the whole backyard is still excavated. It's still just plain dirt. And I don't think anybody lives there anymore. But I still see the shed in the backyard. I can't get close enough to see if it's like in good condition, if they were able to get underneath. I can't tell, but I still see it in the backyard, and it looks like it was installed sometime after. The images aren't clear, but before he disappeared, it was there, that shed. It's interesting, if you look back on the street view back in May 2012, it is a totally different house. The shed's not there. The backyard is different. They don't have a side fence. So I don't know who put all that up, but yeah.
That's crazy.
It is.
And you said that was 2017?
Yes, from the Google Earth, it's not like super duper clear. I can't get super close, but I can tell on my little slider that in 2016, nothing was there. In April 2016, there was nothing there. And then the next image is June 2017, and it sort of looks like there might be something there. If it's a shed already, I don't know, or some other type of storage or structure or barbecue pit. I can't tell, but I can tell something's there.
Yeah, I have another video of Brandon that I want to show that I've got to share my screen here. Hold on one second, you guys.
Well, Fruitland boy Michael Vaughan disappeared from his neighborhood more than a year ago. And today, there are still so many questions surrounding what happened. Yesterday, in a news conference, Fruitland Police revealed the identities of 2 more people who they believe have firsthand knowledge in Michael's abduction. And one of those people talked with a YouTube blogger just last week. Here's a look at some of that interview. Videos circulating on social media are shedding light on 3 of the 4 people Fruitland Police named in connection with Michael Vaughan's disappearance.
It's actually really hard sometimes to be that vulnerable with people.
But who are these people? Just last week, YouTube blogger Jonathan Lee Riches talked with Brandon Sherliff about the then 5-year-old's disappearance. This interview came 5 days before police named Sherliff and Adrian Lucien as 2 people believed to have firsthand knowledge in Michael's abduction.
You ever hear Sarah or Stacey talk about the Vaughns or mention the Vaughns or say anything?
Never once. Not even. The only time I heard them ever mention the Vaughns is when they stopped the car that day and they said, "Hey, there's somebody that's missing in the neighborhood. His name's Michael Vaughan. Do you guys know him or know where he went?" That was the first time that came up to my attention. And then as far as I know, they both said, no, we don't know where he's at. Let's go help look for him.
Sherliff says he was with Sarah Wondra and Adrian the day Michael disappeared.
I was with Sarah that whole day and Adrian. And then Stacey was left home alone.
Last month, police arrested Sarah Wondra for failing to report a death. She lived in the house on Redwing Street with her husband, Stacey Wondra.
I found that kind of interesting that he is talking just 5 days before either of them, Brandon or Adrian, were named as 2 people that law enforcement were looking for. And here he is on social media. She's on social media. He's on social media. Like, you're bound to get caught doing something wrong if you're doing things like that and you're involved in a missing child. I'm sorry, but like, where's the common sense here? Are you with me, Kalia? You're muted.
Thank you for reminding me. I was just saying that the timing couldn't have been better. 5 days before, he's out here talking, and then bam, his face is is on national TV, linking him to a missing child's investigation. That interview that came from, the clip, she briefly talks about it, but Crime Lines and Lies also shares this guy's interviews. He's done a lot of coverage over Michael Vaughan's case, and his YouTube is JLR Investigation. And so you can find a lot of these interviews with the neighbor, interviews with Brandon Sherliff, the suspect. He may have even interviewed other people close to the case. I know he has boots on the ground in the area. So thankfully, through Crime Lines and Lies, I found that, and I did get a lot of information from his YouTube too. So that's a very great place to look and listen to these interviews if you just want to hear firsthand what they're saying. I know in the Kyron Horman case, the words of the person that Kyron's parents believe is responsible for Kyron's disappearance, the words of that person carry a lot of weight, even if they're not truthful. And so even if you're sitting there thinking this guy is just lying, it's still important for you to hear what he's saying and know that,
right.
You just take that with a grain of salt, what he's saying, but still what he's saying is important to hear as far as like a sleuth or an investigator, you know, if you're going to try to help. But it does, like I said earlier in the live, I believe based on Brandi's interviews that she feels really confident in the investigators that are on the team for Michael Vaughan, and that they're going to see this through to the end, no matter how long it takes. And justice system moves slowly, but the fact that the police submitted the case to the DA in August or September of 2023, that's huge. And they can't go into details, but like you said, they talk about evidence. They have evidence here. And I just, even though it took time, I'm grateful that they have a good investigative team to put those pieces together, because that family deserves answers. They deserve justice, and Michael deserves to come home to his family, no matter what it takes.
Exactly. And she's just so strong the way she advocates for her son. She reminds me so much of Desiree, and the strength that it takes, you know, to be a mom of the missing child and having to advocate and keep going. And when you're looking and researching into everything, you can see she is doing everything she can to get out information, get it out there, and put out awareness for her son. And she's continuously saying, someone out there knows something. Come forward, tell us what you know. So if anybody's listening and sleuthing around and you know something, you know, if you're not involved or whether you're involved, like, just say something, tell somebody, you know,
Even
go
an
talk.
anonymous tip, you know, you can submit anonymously. You don't even have to say who the heck you are, but I mean, you know, we hear it in the Kyron case, just write the anonymous letter, right? Just write the anonymous letter. It doesn't even have to come from anywhere, any one particular person, but just give this family some closure.
Yeah, all they want to know is where their son is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it was just so heart-wrenching to see her, you know, say, like, I don't want to have to say this, but one way or another, we want him home. I mean,
Exactly.
she's pretty much just saying, dead, alive, whatever, like, we want Michael home.
Yeah, I know. And I comment here from Connie, Brandi is a strong woman. I couldn't be so strong. I feel the same way. I don't know where this strength comes from, other than I know that she has another younger child, Michael's younger sibling. And so, you know, the strength probably comes from I have to keep going because of that. But putting myself in her shoes, I just really cannot imagine. And I am sending her and her family so much love.
Let's see. Sorry, I'm looking at a video. I want to see if this is the same video I found earlier.
Connie, I agree. She will never stop. Neither will we. Now that Michael Vaughan is on my research radar, I'm going to hit the ground running on this. And if we find out any more relevant information, or if there is an important update, then Samantha and I will definitely update you guys, because Michael Vaughan family deserves justice, and we'll never give up either. And like I said, I shared his flyer in our group earlier today. So if you're in our group for Kyron Horman Case Revisited, you can find that. I just posted it like maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours ago, and share it to your wall and just get his face out there. Like I said, when I typed in Michael Vaughan, it wasn't the first thing that came up, and it should be. It definitely should be.
It definitely should. Like, there wasn't a lot of information out there to find. And unfortunately, Brooks got kicked off of our live tonight, and she had a lot of answers.
I know that would have been so great to have her on, but maybe we can do another one in the future, or we could join her on one of hers. But yeah, thanks for at least being willing to answer the questions, Brooks. Thanks for being here, and Brandi too. Thanks for joining us earlier.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you finding any more information? I went over to try to find one of the videos that I found yesterday, and I am not finding it over here on YouTube because it was actually the lead detective talking about those search dogs and the evidence that they found in the house and outside the house. So it was kind of important, and I wish I could find it again.
I hate when that happens, when I lose track of where I was. I just took a lot of handwritten notes, and like a lot of them were questions for Brooks. Like I said, you know, what would have been, if it, does the police have a motive that they've ever announced? Are there going to be more than 4 people involved? Does she have any idea about that? Where are some good places to get solid information about Michael Vaughan's case? Some good creators that she knows reports facts and won't, you know, mislead people.
Yeah, and I think I found the video. I'm gonna just try to wait for part of this because it was a pretty long video. So if you want to keep talking about something else, let me listen real quick.
Oh, talk about something else. No, I'm just joking. I can read some comments here. Hey, Sabina, you commented saying, new, but been watching all your videos. Love them. Thank you for being here. Thanks for subscribing. And yeah, that's why we put the videos out. We try to do deep research on Kyron's case and make sure that we report information correctly so you can make a educated opinion on your own. Criminal Med says, I think somehow it involved one wanting a child and one not wanting one, in my opinion. Something way off there.
I did hear that too from Brooks. Brooks was telling me that she was trying to get Adrian to give her a baby. Brooks said that, and I was like, what? Yeah.
Interesting.
I found this video. I'll put it up. It's the lead investigator of the case, and he's pretty much going to go over the findings that they have and talk about just that kind of stuff. Hold on one second.
And an ongoing investigation. You can't take one of our most precious citizens from us and ever expect us to stop. During the course of this investigation to date, we received credible information that the remains of Michael Vaughan could be found in the backyard at 1102 Redwing Street in Fruitland. As a result, the Fruitland Police Department obtained a search warrant for the residence along with the front and backyards. That search warrant was served on November 11th. It was a Friday. We served that late in the evening. Upon entry, officers encountered Stacey Wondra, one of the known occupants of the home, and Sarah was subsequently arrested based on probable cause that she had knowledge of Michael's death and failed to report that death to law enforcement. The following day, the Fruitland Police Department, joined by the Idaho State Police, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, the Fruitland Fire Department, and the Fruitland Public Works Department, began a very methodical excavation of the backyard of the Wondras' home. During that excavation process, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, Mountain States detection dogs deployed multiple certified human remains detection dogs on the property, all of them alerting to the presence of human remains. Ground penetrating radar was also used and deployed, detecting anomalies in the backyard. We completed the excavation of the entire backyard and removed over 250 yards of dirt. Prior to backfilling the yard, the dirt was meticulously sifted for any potential human remains. We did not find Michael's remains. Although the remains of Michael Vaughan were not recovered, we strongly believe, based on evidence, that Michael was abducted and is deceased, and that his remains were buried and later moved from the property. As of today, the whereabouts of his remains are unknown. However, the investigation is active, fluid, and ongoing. Once the excavation was complete, we conducted a thorough search of the Wondras' residence. The search was productive and additional investigative evidence was recovered and is currently being processed. Evidence suggests that there are the following individuals who are currently in custody are involved in the abduction of Michael Vaughan. This is Sarah Wondra, 35 years old. Sarah lives at 1102 Redwing Street in Fruitland and was living there at the time of Michael's disappearance. We believe that Sarah has firsthand knowledge and is involved in Michael's abduction. Sarah Wondra is currently being held at the Fayette County Jail for failing to report a death to law enforcement. This is Sarah's husband, Stacey Wondra, 30 years old, a male. Stacey was also living at 1102 Redwing Street in Fruitland and was living there at the time of Michael's disappearance. We believe that Stacey has firsthand knowledge and is involved in the abduction of Michael Vaughan. Stacey's currently being held in the Washington County Jail on unrelated charges. Now, the next individuals I'm going to introduce you to, let's go at the bottom there. This is Brandon Shirtliff, 30 years old, of Kuna, Idaho. Brandon was living with Sarah and Stacey Wondra at 1102 Redwing Street at the time of Michael's disappearance. And we believe Brandon has firsthand knowledge of Michael's abduction. Brandon is currently believed to be in North Dakota. Adrian Lucian, 32-year-old male out of Toledo, Ohio. Adrian was staying with Sarah and Stacey Wondra at 1102 Redwing Street at the time of Michael's disappearance. And we believe that Adrian has firsthand knowledge of Michael's abduction. Adrian's currently believed to be in Toledo, but floats between Ohio and California.
I'll have to listen to that myself, but back again, because I feel like he said something different for Stacey than he did for all of the other ones. Something like, instead of just saying we believe he has firsthand knowledge of the abduction, I feel like they worded it a little different, like a little bit more direct, like we know Stacey was involved, or something like that. I want to listen to it myself and make that differential, but I mean, man, they are calling it out right there. That's a powerful video, and they are laying it out that they have evidence. They're not saying what it is, but they have it. And
yep. And they're saying that he is dead, that he was in that backyard, and they have evidence to prove it, and they have evidence to prove he was in the house. I mean,
Yep.
what are anomalies? I'm not even saying the word right because I can't pronounce it. What is it? Anomalies?
Anomaly. In what context? What does it say? Anomaly?
Well, it said something about what they found as far as evidence and what they found in the dirt. We sifted through the dirt and we found anomalies. I'm not saying the word right.
Yeah, so I believe it's something abnormal, peculiar, or not easily classified. So in the Kristen Smart case, they, like I mentioned, I've said it a couple times now. Sorry, I've done research on Kristen Smart's case. They did the same thing. They excavated the backyard of where they believed that she was buried, and they sifted through the dirt. They did not find her body, but they found like fluid that had been mixed in the dirt from where she was decomposing inside the dirt. And the suspect dug her up and they moved her. They still never found her body, but they got a conviction because that fluid from a decomposing body was proven in the court, and that's how they got a conviction against the murderer. So I mean, like I said, that was like 5 years ago or something that happened. So
we know we've been. Oh, sorry.
They probably found something like that, like if some kind of anomaly in the dirt while they were sifting, that it wasn't his remains, it wasn't, but something else proved to them that he was there.
And then Tabitha saying, I can't even get over the fact that Brandon had delivered pizza to this home many times before Michael came up missing. He could have built a trust with Michael. Well, he was living in the home with Michael eventually, according to this. So I was wondering if that's how Brandon,
who was living in
met
the
the
home
family.
with Michael? Oh, Brandon was living with
Brandon
Michael's
was
family?
living in the, yeah, that's what that just said. He was living there, and then they said that Adrian was staying there probably for a moment of time, because it sounds like I said earlier, like he's a drifter and moves around a lot or something.
But you're talking about the Wondra's house, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Because Brandon was a delivery driver delivering pizza
Yes.
for Domino's.
I was confused. Yes, that makes sense. Yes. And I could see it, like Tabitha saying, you know, I know my kids, they love, I mean, I order delivery food and I tell them to leave it at my front porch. Don't knock, don't ring doorbell, don't even tell me you delivered food. But
Yeah.
my kids know that, you know, if I am ordering food, they are excited, you know, they want to thank the delivery driver and things like that. So I could 100% see, you know, some kind of communication. Brandon says, I've never heard of this family. I never heard of Michael Vaughan until I came back to that neighborhood and they were searching for him as a missing child.
That's what I have found interesting about him being a Domino's driver after hearing that too. Because if you're delivering pizza, I mean, you have to order it with a credit card. I mean, don't you know the names of people when you're delivering the pizza?
Yeah.
I don't order
also,
pizza often, so I'm just saying, when I go get pizza, I make it or I go pick it up.
Also, people don't forget that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a little different, but have you ever been in a truck with like a contractor? They're going to tell you, I did something at that house. I did something at that house. Delivery drivers don't just forget that they've been to somebody's house, especially if something like stands out to them. Like, you know, like, oh, this house is the house that when I open the door, they have all the crazy dogs, or this house has,
right,
you know, whatever, XYZ. But I mean, even just mundane houses in a small community like that, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I've delivered to that house before. Heck yeah.
Yeah, and I can see why you caught me on that. Yeah, Brandon was living with the Wondras. I wasn't saying he was living with Brandi and Tyler, just that he knew about them, knew their names. How could he say, you know, he didn't know them? And he's like living around the corner from their house.
Mm-hmm. And it's such a small town, 6,800 people in that town. Like that's one of those towns where they say everybody knows everybody, right? I mean, you don't literally know everybody, but you've seen them, you pass by them. They only lived a couple streets away from each other.
Yeah, and like we were saying earlier, like in that press conference, he's talking about she was arrested for not reporting the death of Michael, or knowing about the death of Michael, reporting that, and eventually those charges are released, and she is arrested later on, where she's going to be spending 3 to 7 years in prison right now, mentally unstable, and I believe everything's kind of paused with her right now, and they're just waiting because her mental health is so whatever. But I do think that she is the key. I don't know why I feel that way, but I really do. And I'm glad that you mentioned and we're telling everybody that we're planning on doing more in this case, because I'm already so intrigued with it. I will be doing more deep dives, more research, really talking more to Brooks about this, or even Brandi Neal if she wants to reach out, because it is really important, especially at a time like this. The grand jury got together in August. This is moving quite quickly. Something's going to be going down here soon, and Michael Vaughan needs as much awareness as possible. You know, the community gets involved and they give support. And in a little town like that, I mean, we already know, just like Kyron Horman's case, I mean, the community came together. There were hair salons cutting hair to make money, donating the money for Michael's parents and stuff, because they were having to pay bills during this time. The community really came together. The law enforcement was saying, okay, everybody, don't need any more food. We don't need anything else. Thanks so much for all the donations, just like in Kyron's case. And yeah, there was just so many things that were kind of familiar with that case. The land and the water and the way that the community came together. The fact that it is a small community. Like, any of the people that have lived there since then will not forget this for years and years and years and years to come. And they're probably all doing the same thing. All of the farmers and stuff are doing for Kyron Horman, which are checking their properties on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of people coming together to raise money for this family. And it was an outpour of love and support for these parents. And you know, I also heard that in the very beginning, there were a lot of people speculating about whether or not the parents had anything to do with his disappearance. And that went on for a long time. And we all know how this goes, because the first people that are looked at in a missing child's case is the immediate family. And they're looked at, and then they're either, you know, a suspect after the fact, after they're looked into, or they're not. And law enforcement never thought that these two had anything to do with Michael Vaughan's disappearance. They have fully cooperated 100%. A matter of fact, I heard Brandi Neal, Michael's mom, say she pretty much talks to law enforcement daily. Like, they have regular conversations all of the time. And so, I mean, law enforcement doesn't believe it was them. They were attacked. And it's sad because in a lot of missing kids cases, the parents on social media get blamed for that child missing. And it doesn't matter whether or not law enforcement says that they're cleared or not cleared. And what's different with that in the Kyron Horman case is they were never able to clear Terry. They did look into Terry. They looked into Kaine. They looked into Desiree. They looked into Desiree's husband, Tony. And the only person that was changing their story, that was lying, and to this day that they still are trying to seek information from, is Terry Horman.
Exactly. Yep. I just shared some things about that with Kaine saying kind of the same thing, that they asked him in a court proceeding, how often do you talk to the police? And he said very regularly. And they still are getting more information. And 2 years into the investigation, they know way more now than they did 2 years ago. That just intensifies their belief that she was responsible for his disappearance. And nothing's ever been uttered to the contrary. So, yeah, I think it's sick that it's, I mean, first of all, I know I've said this a million times, put yourself in the shoes of a parent of a missing child. Your child just goes missing. It is literally your worst nightmare. That's all you care about. But then add on to the fact that people are over here accusing you when there's absolutely no basis to make an accusation of such.
Yeah, like, leave that up to the investigators.
Yes.
Don't take it upon yourself to get on your
No.
social media and start, you know, typing out all of your opinions, because once you do it, because once you do that, it goes everywhere.
Yes, and these parents are just humans. So I mean, yeah, their main priority, they're gonna like eventually develop thick enough skin where they don't care at all what people say, but they're only human, and they're already going through what I think arguably would be any parent's worst nightmare. Not knowing what happened to your kid. Like, I mean, losing your kid to an accident, it is tragic, but not knowing what happened to your child, that is so painful. And that wound never heals until you know what happened. And yeah, it just makes me sick that there are people out there. It doesn't matter if that's what you think. Hold that opinion to yourself until there is a basis to say something like that, like changing your story, not being honest with investigators, not passing polygraph tests, blah, 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 you know, those types of things. But just baseless, like, okay, well, we're just going to accuse the parents for no reason. That is out of line. And again, have a heart. What would you do? I mean, just put yourself in their position, I guess. Not what would you do, but how would you feel if that was you, you know?
Well, your mind's going to race every single day, all day, every day, till you figure out where your kid is. Are they cold? Are they safe? Are they being sexually assaulted? Or, you know, was it someone that just wanted kids that has your kid? Are they dead? Are they alive? Like, there are so many thousands of questions that you can ask yourself every single day. And in this case, she knows that her son isn't alive, but she still wants closure. She still wants to know where he is so that they can move on. She wants to know what happened, you know, or why did you do this to my child?
That's that's what keeps her going, is that I need to find my son. I need to find out what happened to him, and I need to bring him home where he deserves to be. And yeah, so again, just my heart goes out to Brandi, to Michael's younger sister, to Michael's father, to his grandparents, any aunts and uncles, anybody that is impacted greatly by his disappearance and death. I just am sending you so much love. And yeah, I can't wait to cover the case again, and hopefully there's an update, you know, with them presenting this to the DA. Hopefully we have some good news that we can bring to everybody with an update one day. So thank you all for being here and showing support to Michael's family.
Yeah, and Tabitha says it's bigger than just a nightmare. It's torture, living day in and day out, wondering why and wondering what and wondering who.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, my instincts are telling me, though, something with this woman is involved. I wish I would never erase that clip as fast as I did. I wonder if I can find it so we could just see what he says about him, because now you got me all kinds of curious, because he did word it different, and I noticed that.
Yes, he worded it slightly different.
Let me see if I can find it. Mm-hmm. How's everybody's, you know, month going? It's Christmas time. Does everybody have their Christmas bought, wrapped? Just curious.
Personally, I'm lucky my husband likes to wrap presents. So he wrapped all of our presents, and I think I did the last of my last minute Amazon orders today, and they will all be here by Friday. So whew, just by the hair of my chinny chin chin, I barely made it.
Oh my God, that's so funny, because I literally, my husband was wrapping presents while I was doing research last night. Because I'm like, listen, I've got all the stuff we need to do before we have our granddaughter this next week. I'm packing to leave to go out of town Thursday, so we need to get everything done. So he like sat and wrapped everything while I was researching. That's awesome. And I found it. Oh wait, let's see. Expand. I gotta share. Oh, hold on. I gotta share my thing again, and then let's listen.
Okay.
Sarah Wondra is currently being held at the Fayette County Jail for failing to report it. This is Sarah's husband, Stacey Wondra, 30 years old, a male. Stacey was also living at 1102 Redwing Street in Fruitland and was living there at the time of Michael's disappearance. We believe that Stacey has firsthand knowledge and is involved in the abduction of Michael Vaughan.
Yep.
So has firsthand knowledge and is involved in the abduction.
So
didn't
he
they
does
say
say
she was involved in his abduction also? I think they said that about her too. Let me look.
Yeah, just rewind it 10 seconds or 20 seconds. I know they didn't say that with Brandon and Adrian. They said that they have knowledge. So they must have evidence, hard evidence against these people.
This is Sarah Wondra, 35 years old. Sarah lives at 1102 Redwing Street in Fruitland and was living there at the time of Michael's disappearance. We believe that Sarah has firsthand knowledge and is involved in Michael's abduction. Sarah Wondra is currently being held at the Fayette County Jail for.
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, they must have some hard evidence against the Wondras, and they just believe that
the other two have knowledge of what happened to Michael Vaughan.
Like they were
witnessed
accessories
something
after the fact.
Yeah. Or even involved in like helping them, you know, dig a hole to put Michael in or something. And it bothers me, you know, I would just have to say that I am so glad that Brandi Neal came to our live, that she was here. She was commenting. It was amazing. But at the same time, it was very difficult for me to know that she was here. I was afraid I might say something wrong. I was afraid that I might get some information incorrect. I want to be able to talk about the case and stuff without hurting her feelings at all. I was really worried about her feelings and saying things, just then when I said maybe they were involved with like digging the hole in the backyard. You know, you don't want to say that kind of stuff and not mom hear it. And the only difference is that she was actually here while I was saying it, when she could have came back and listened to it and would have known what I said anyway. But that was a huge impact on me. It kind of made me a little bit emotional, and I started like with my wording and stuff. And with my information, knowing that she was here, it just kind of like made me nervous. Now, Brandi, if you're here and you're listening, I don't mind that you're here at all. I will be way more prepared for that later. We've, you know, only covered Kyron's case. We've never had Desiree or Kaine or anybody from the family on our show here. So, you know, I'm sorry if we do say anything that might hurt your feelings, because your feelings are really important to us. But I am sure that you have seen it all. I mean, I know you've been on Crime Lines and Lies. I'm sure you've been other places. You've seen other podcasts. You know, you're probably everywhere doing anything you can to bring awareness. So I'm sure you're seeing everything. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I agree. I know it's like we want to be delicate. But to be honest, she probably has heard way worse than what the public has heard, you know, as far as the truth of what the police know about what may have happened to her son. And yeah, so I agree with you. I'm as funny as it is that I'm here on live, I told Samantha I'm a very socially anxious person, and I was afraid to put myself out there the first couple of times we went live. And it is another layer of intimidation when you know somebody so close to the person who's disappeared, his own mother, is here. We just want to make sure we were respectful and accurate. So yeah, I agree with you, Sam. It's a little bit of pressure, but yeah, we hope we did well and did a good job bringing some awareness.
Bun Bun here says, why did they take this poor boy? Yeah, that would, that's probably a question that his parents are asking constantly too. And then, in my opinion, they grabbed him to satisfy Sarah, and Stacey said, no way, boom, in my opinion. That's a good theory. And Tabitha said exactly, he was distancing himself. And she's haunted, in my opinion. I agree. After looking at those TikToks, I do think that she is haunted by what happened and what they possibly did, because she literally says that God doesn't like her much, or that she's being punished and she doesn't, or she's been given too much when she should be punished because she's done bad things. And just, I don't know, it was TikTok after TikTok after TikTok. Sometimes she was doing like 3, 4, 5, 6, and on and on and on TikToks a day, on and on and on. Like, she's having conversations, but nobody's liking it, nobody's commenting. And then I think the ones where people actually were commenting, because of Michael Vaughan's case, she was turning off the comments on all of it. Criminal also says, yes, you have to be consistently persistent. And you do. You have to be so persistent when you're looking for a child, no matter what. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Your life comes to a standstill, and you are persistent with everything that you do, as far as searching for that child, advocating for that child, making sure to talk to law enforcement, collecting the fundraising money that comes in. They have 3 other children. So they had to still take care of their 2-year-old and their 2 oldest children. Michael was only 5 when he came up missing, and he came up missing 3 days after his 5th birthday. So, he was just a baby himself, and they have to take care of these kids and go on with their days and stuff, taking care of their kids, and taking care of all of their bills. And the tip didn't even come in until November of 2022, which was a year and a few months later after he disappeared. So not knowing where he was or what had happened, and all of that is going on for over a year. And persistence is what's going to get you the answers, in my opinion. Desiree Young, she pushes and she persists the DA and law enforcement to search and look for Kyron all the time. Tabitha says, it's bigger than a nightmare. Oh, I already read that one. Looking for an audio wrapping device ASAP.
Yeah, we could all use that for Christmas gifts. That'd be handy.
Perhaps aiding and abetting. Is Brandi his mom? Yes, Brandi Neal is his mom, and she was here earlier. She still may be here, just not commenting. We had Brooks from Crime Lines and Lies here. She was on panel for a short period of time, and then all of a sudden she was gone. She sent me a link, or sent me a message saying that she was trying to get back on, but she couldn't. So I sent her another link and a message, and yeah, she hasn't been able to make it back. So I don't know what kind of technical difficulties. This would actually be the very first time that I've ever had more than one person on panel too, because the only other person I've ever had is you. So I'm actually wondering if it had something to do with that. And my Wi-Fi has been telling me this whole time that my Wi-Fi is low, and I had a problem with my Wi-Fi last week too. Tabitha just answers yes, Brandi is his mom. And then Bun Bun, my heart goes out to the family, hope they get answers. And she says, that's weird. Yeah, it is weird. You should have seen me trying to put together this live earlier, because I lost all volume. Nothing was coming through the speakers. Nothing was coming through my earphones, nothing. And I was scrambling to put the show together. I thought we were going to have to cancel the show. I don't know if that had something to do with what's going on too, but
I'm glad we didn't have to cancel. It's a bummer that Brooks couldn't join us, but we'll just have to try again on the next one. I think we still got some good information out there for our viewers who might not be aware of Michael Vaughan's case. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I mean, we're 2 hours and 10 minutes into this without anybody else to ask questions to. So I think we did really good as far as not having our, Q&As that we were going to do done.
Our
We were able
informant,
to,
yes.
yeah.
Our pro researcher on
Yeah,
this case, yep.
Brooks was actually the one that was asking other YouTube channels to come out and do some coverage on Michael Vaughan for his family. And that's why we were here today, was to do that. But I mean, enough talking about it and everything. It's been a great live. We've been 2 hours and 11 minutes. If you have any information about Michael Vaughan and his abduction, call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. His parents need and want answers. So, I mean, if anybody out there knows anything, no tip is too small. Just get a hold of somebody there in Fruitland, Idaho, or the local FBI, and just give that tip. It takes literally just that to bring a case like this to a complete close. I think that they do have what they need already, but that doesn't matter. Tips are tips.
Tips are tips, and if Brandi still believes that there's people out there that still know more information based on the information she knows about her son's disappearance, then yeah, we're going to be right there behind her, championing her, saying, call that tip line if you know anything. You can remain anonymous. I've mentioned it. We shared his flyer in our group. And if you can't find him on Google, like I had a little bit of a hard time just with Michael Vaughan, type in Michael Monkey Vaughan, and you should start getting the results that you're looking for that has the information about his case and his disappearance.
Yeah, I was also looking up missing Michael Vaughan and was getting some information to pull up that way either. But you are right. Just doing Michael Vaughan, it wasn't popping up. I just realized that I forgot to share this other little video that I made about the Kyron Horman Foundation. I want to just bring it up real quick. I mean, I've already talked about what their mission was. We already know that the Kyron Horman Foundation was started because Kyron Horman went missing. Kaine Horman, his father, decided to, start this foundation to help other parents of missing children. He has sponsored several children. And I just wanted to show like the different things. This was a calendar. It's dated all the way out till 2025. This is pictures from a car show that he has done, and he sets up tents. And these tents, they have bracelets, they have buttons, they have bumper stickers, regular stickers. They can do kits for your children, take pictures of your children, and just in case, because it's really important for parents out there. Look at our day and age, people. Like, there's a lot of crazies out there. If you got children, take them somewhere. Even if you don't use the Kyron Horman Foundation, go somewhere, get your kids' ID kits made. That they can do DNA, they can do fingerprints. So take them to go do it, parents. I'm just like trying to advocate for any children now before they come up missing so that you guys have this information. They did like this huge garage sale. This is the one for Michael Vaughan that they did when they set up the tent and stuff. It was the Tree Fort Festival in Idaho. Like I said, that they did from Michael Vaughan, and there's a little over a $50,000 reward for him and any information leading to the whereabouts of Michael or his remains. This is just something that Kaine put up and did for, let me rewind this a little bit so I can see her name. Allison Watterson is somebody else. Looks like he was putting out information about and then there's pictures of Kyron on here. They did a garage sale here in Clark County in Vancouver, Washington. And they did a huge event there doing the same things, setting up these tables and these booths to do this. So this is what Kyron's dad spends a lot of his time on. I haven't heard of a show here recently, but I do know he canceled one of his last car shows, but the last car show he did do, he sponsored Michael Vaughan there as well. I was told that. And then, of course, we have Kyron Horman here. He disappeared from Portland, Oregon from his school's science fair. The name of the school was Skyline Elementary School. If you have any information about Kyron Horman and his whereabouts, call the tip line at 503-988-0560. Yeah, I just wanted to show like all of the different things that he's been doing. I thought it was really important because there are so many people out there that talk about how come we never hear anything about Kaine. And I just think that Kaine's busy.
Yeah, he's a missing child's advocate and his son's advocate. So and he's also raising a minor. So his hands are quite full, it sounds like.
I made a little video that I'm going to put up for Michael Vaughan for the end. We appreciate everybody coming to our live. We appreciate everybody on our YouTube channel. Any information that we have about this, we'll put here in our community on YouTube. We can talk about it on the Kyron Horman Case Revisited Facebook group. We love everyone coming together and supporting Kyron. We love that everybody came together today from our community to support Tyler Vaughan and Brandi Neal, the parents of Michael Vaughan, and supporting Michael Vaughan and getting his word out there. We'll post a flyer up on our Facebook group. If you're there, please copy it, paste it, save it as, and share it, share it, share it is all I'm asking everybody to do tonight. Is please share Michael Vaughan's flyer, Michael Vaughan's case. You can share this live or any other lives that talk about Michael Vaughan, or share any of the press conferences. I think the video at the beginning of our live is just very telling. You can, like I said, share this or go find that video and then share it. It doesn't matter as long as he's getting awareness. I feel really blessed to be able to do this tonight. And Kaylee and I have talked about continuing, looking into this case and doing more lives as information comes in, and maybe another live later down the road when we can dig deeper and get more information and get Brooks on and keep her on a show.
Right.
So, I don't know if you have anything to say. I'm just glad everybody was here and is here, supporting us. We really appreciate this support, and we really appreciate all of our subscribers and all of our members from Facebook. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to click the notification bell. If you click the bell, you'll get notifications when we're live. You'll get notifications of new videos. I just did a new video for Kyron Horman. I visited another search area where Desiree went in 2014. And we're just going to continue advocating. That's what we're here for. That's what we're going to do. And we're also, going to look into other cases that have been sponsored by the Kyron Horman Foundation. So I hope everybody has a good Tuesday night. I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas and a good New Year. Enjoy your families, and enjoy Christmas. Enjoy everybody around. Merry Christmas, Kalia. I hope
Merry
you and
Christmas.
yours have a great time. You're going to miss those babies so much when they come back. You're going to have such an amazing Christmas.
I miss them so bad already. So I know, I totally feel that. But yes, thank you all for joining. Thanks for having me. This was a great idea. getting out of our comfort zone a little bit. And I'm grateful we had the opportunity. And yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody.
I was definitely feeling that out of your comfort zone tonight, but
Yep.
all right, have a good night. I'm going to give you a chat here in a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds like a plan.
All righty. Good night.
Bye.